am Jonna LaGrone-Haynes. I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri, inner city, St. Louis, Missouri. Um, Parents came from a two-parent household. Both my parents are educators, and my dad was a Spanish teacher for a school district. And my mother has a doctorate, has her doctorate in education. So you can imagine growing up, it was all about education, it was all about service, it was all about giving back to the community. And so that's a lot of what I do. That's kind of what all I know and how I live my life and how I incorporate service and community and just being involved and engaged in just about everything that I do.
That's craziness. Now, I've got to ask, since you just put it out there, can you speak Spanish?
Well, no, not anymore. I aced it in high school on my own, but it was my first language, ironically, because I grew up for the first couple of years of my life in Dominican Republic, where he taught English over there. So it was my first language. But however, coming back to St. Louis, Missouri, where there's not a lot of Spanish-speaking people, and they did not, speak to us that way, I lost it. So, and I always get on them about that. Like, why did you keep it up? That would have
I
been great.
know,
Uh,
right?
but yeah, yeah.
It's funny, my son, my oldest son, Ben, he was really a triple major, international business and Spanish, and then he was taking a minor in real estate. So
Mhm.
I wish that I,
Yeah.
especially today, I just I don't know, I barely can say hi, right? But it would be very useful, I think, especially being here
Yeah.
in Texas of all places. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, well, thanks for sharing that. So, what led you to healthcare? And then there's always a connection, I think, between service on that end and real estate. So,
Mhm.
h- how do we get there?
Yeah, yeah. So healthcare was my first career, and I did in preparing for this. I saw that you were pre-med as well at
Yes.
some point. I was pre-med, attended Howard University, majored in chemistry, and the plan was to become a pediatrician. I had great influences. Pediatrician was a black woman in St. Louis, which was very rare, and she just really, made an impact on my life. And I've always had an interest and curiosity about the body and how the body works, and so that was the path that I was on. Um, at Howard, I had other opportunities to get involved in medicine and in research because at that time, they were looking to have more minorities in research careers. So I did a lot of medical research technological type things. I worked at NIH, came back to St. Louis. Uh, the goal was to continue with medical school, but I was working as a medical research technician. I was actually performing DNA testing, genetic testing for the Children's Hospital there. And so as I started working, I'm out of college, starting working, got my own apartment, making some money, 6 years, 8, 12 years of medical school kind of went by the wayside a little bit, but I really wanted to stay in the healthcare field. So I got my master's in healthcare administration with the new goal of becoming a CEO of a hospital and going into management, executive leadership. And so I went down that trajectory for a little bit. And I did work in healthcare for a major consulting firm, one of the big six, community hospitals, large teaching institutions. And so that's my healthcare career, if you will.
And here's a crazy question because in this office, each and every day we have so many newer agents who come through, and I'm on the path, so to speak,
Mhm.
down to our team leaders office. And so they typically, my door is always open. That's just my policy, right? Unless I'm on the phone. And we've got so many folks here that are in that industry,
Mhm.
nurses, practitioners, stuff like that. And we've always said it in real estate. There are two uh, uh, teachers and
Mhm.
folks in nursing and healthcare
Yeah.
make amazing agents. Why? I've got my own assumptions as to why. Why would you think that, they're so successful? Why?
Mhm. Well, I mean, In real estate, you have to love people and be around people. And I think it's the same with healthcare. You know, we're compassionate, we're nurturing, we're caring,
True.
we want to take care of the citizens, the community. One area of the healthcare that I was involved with was community service at the corporate level for Texas Health Resources. And so a lot of that was consensus building, community building, focusing on the needs and the challenges of a specific population or a specific area. I was traveling to different part member hospitals in other parts of Central Texas. So this, well, not Central Texas, this is Dallas.
Mhm.
So I started my real estate career and my professional career in Dallas, Fort Worth. I've only been in Austin for 6 years. So all of this was in Dallas. So I think just that compassion for people, being around people, wanting to help people, wanting the best for people, from a healthcare and holistic approach to healthcare and to health and to life is where I see the similarities.
I agree. I think it's important, especially for newer agents who are just starting their journey in this industry. And if you see Seth Mills and his class, this is their Ignite class. I've always said that it's important because you just spoke to it. Um, boy, you've got to love community. People.
Hmm.
Um, because if you don't, then you'll never make any money in this industry, right? You gotta you want to serve people and help people go from A to Z, right?
Hmm.
And if that's not part of your DNA, then I just don't believe that you'll be, you might have a tad bit of success in this industry, but you won't be wildly successful in it. And wildly doesn't always equate to a paycheck. Wildly, I think sometimes equates more to the impact that you make,
Hmm. Hmm.
especially in people's lives, right? So I think
Yeah.
that's just an very important component here is, boy, if you're chasing the money, then you won't make any. But if you're chasing
Hmm.
relationships and
Hmm.
community and service, then you know what, man, money is just, it's a byproduct of that service, and you'll be wildly successful.
That's right. That's right. And in healthcare, you're meeting all kinds of different people from all different backgrounds and perspectives and income levels. But when you're sick, everybody somehow, it's an even playing field. And just like real estate, every day is a different day, a different scenario because of the individual or the family that we might be helping. And if you work in all different price points, if you're just interacting with different people, again, that's that similarity too. So it was a comfort level for me to kind of transition over to real estate.
And so that transition, did it, how did you go from Dallas to Austin? Right.
Well, let me first say that I went from healthcare to real estate because I was in between jobs.
Okay.
And I also happened to be 6, 7 months pregnant at the time.
Oh, dang.
And
Okay.
yeah, so there was a lot going on. This is in Dallas. I am not one to let grass grow under my feet. I can't be still. I just can't, I have to do something. I have to be productive. And so I thought about, let me get my real estate license. Let me have this as a tool in my tool belt on the side. I didn't really think about it as a full career at that time. But it was something that, until I find my next opportunity, what can I do? And we had a really great experience with our own realtor in Dallas. We actually built a home, and I thought that was something that that I could do that would work well with a family that was growing because I had a toddler at home. I had a husband that was in retail management that worked a lot. It was just conducive to my lifestyle. So for 8 years, I was actually a dual career agent.
Wow.
Um, yeah, so I did it on the side.
Again, don't miss that. Some of the newer
Okay.
agents, right? Because I
Yeah.
wasn't dual career, but I would tell folks that, for my first year and a half, I worked from 2 a.m. to 7 a.m. at a donut
Mhm.
shop, right?
Mhm.
I don't consider that dual career. I was just doing that to help make ends meet, right? But again,
Mhm.
I was willing to do whatever it took in order to win and learn and grow.
Mhm.
So Bam, there you go. Don't miss that. Don't miss that.
Wow. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I that's how I got started. That's how I got my feet wet. And I was with a great office there in the Dallas Richardson area that supported me. And, the weekends were busy, the evenings were busy, but I made it happen. And then at some point, most of us, I got tired of that rat race. And I said I was, the path at that time was to become the CEO of a hospital. So it was difficult as a Black female in that space. It's still very rare. And so, in order to get to where I needed to be, I would have had to travel a lot more. And I would have had to just really have a different kind of home life that was not going to work for us. And so, I had to think about, what would I do? What can I do as a growing family? Not from Dallas. We didn't have a great supportive network as well. So, with the support of my husband, I was able to go into real estate full time. And so that's how I began full time in 2014.
Right.
But we moved to Austin in 2019 because of my husband's job as well.
Mhm.
Never thought I would leave Dallas. We were there for 21 years. Was setting up shop. Just didn't really think we were, be leaving. So we moved in 2019, and then a few months later, COVID happened.
Mhm.
So, in Austin, I pretty much was starting over
Mhm.
because we did not have a lot of friends there. We didn't know anyone. To be quite honest, I had never gone to Austin, even though I had been with Keller Williams for so long. I never made it to mega camp. Never made it to mega camp. And I don't think I even really attended family reunions. So that's a whole nother story. But when I got to Austin, it changed.
Yes, it
When
did.
I got to Austin, I was intentional. I started over. I had to figure out how to learn the city. I had to figure out the ecosystem here. I had to figure out who the power players were.
Mhm.
I had to figure out how to get business and how to get my name out there and to learn the area. And even though it's much smaller than DFW, and it's very different, Austin's very different from Dallas, very different from Houston, very different from San Antonio. I had to figure that out. And so I guess COVID to some extent was a blessing because we never stopped working. We were essential.
Yes.
And there were so many people wanting to move to Austin for various reasons. And one of them was the job market. One of them was a Tesla that announced that their headquarters were going to be here.
Mhm.
And so we're a very big tech city. A lot of people don't realize that. They call us the tech, the Silicon Valley of the South, right? So there's a lot of tech companies here. So there was just an influx of people to the area. So that benefited me and my business. Another way of me getting involved and getting to know Austin very quickly was to get involved with associations like the National Association of, NARAB, Real Estate Brokers, NARAB,
Mhm.
um, which I was not involved with in Dallas, but was aware of it. But quickly became involved locally, became the vice president and became the president. I saw a need, I saw the impact that we could make, and I saw a way for me to, work on my leadership skills, work on my business, my network. So that's how I got involved with NARAB. Then, as a result of being involved with NARAB and having mentors in that space that were also involved with A Board, Austin Board of Realtors and Unlock MLS, I was encouraged to get involved at the local level with our association, which I never did in Dallas. I was with Collin County Association of Realtors at the time. Got involved with A Board and became a director, and it's been 3 years now. And now I'm also president-elect. So I just, again, going back to the way I grew up, I just know how to, I just love. It's not about, I just love being involved and engaged. I'm curious about how things work. And being in a new city like Austin, I had to do that in order to understand, how decisions were made, and then a greater need for wanting to understand how if I'm committed to be in this industry, and I felt like I was in a bubble in Dallas, and then when I got here, I felt like I'm in a bubble, and I needed to know more and broaden my perspective about the real estate industry. And that's kind of how I got involved. I started to get involved.
Well, and I think that's for me, that's how I started to take notice with your involvement in NARAB and what you were doing there in Austin. And again, I didn't know if that was the Austin MLS. I didn't know. I just knew that you
Mhm.
had a position there. And I thought that's where when I think when you had texted me or something, and I'm like, you know what, leadership is what
Mhm.
is really what has drawn me to you, right? I think we're all doing business, good
Mhm.
business, maybe not the business that we want, right? Because I mean, my numbers are down for 25, and yet I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
not complaining. I am not complaining because I'm still here and relevant. And we're making sure that in 26 we level up and do some things differently, right? And
Mhm.
I feel like I've seen that growth in you and your travel. I think you were in Toronto a week or two ago, which I
Mhm.
feel like, for me, that's the beauty of Facebook. I get to spy on my friends and see some of the things they're doing that again, I think that was growing your leadership, your
Mhm.
involvement there in Austin. I'm assuming it's had an impact on your business because of your network here with NARAB. Again, I saw Ronald on. I would also suggest that because I didn't know much about NARAB, even though I've been in the business forever. It's really
Mhm.
only been in the last 2 or 3 years that I've gotten involved. And here in Dallas, there's a conflict from when we finish here, they've got a meeting over there. So I hadn't been able
Mhm.
to make those meetings
Yeah.
recently. But it is what it is. So talk to me about that leadership and the mindset that goes into what you're doing there in Austin, how that is helping you grow you and
Mhm.
and help serve your community.
hmm So the beauty is that ABOR supports NARAB. And so that dynamic is great for one because they're considered a strategic partner of ABOR.
Okay.
So not only do we have NARAB, but you also have our counterparts with the Asian realtors, Hispanic, LGBTQ, you know what I mean, Alliance. And so they support our efforts and we work in concert a lot of times in order to support community events like our Community Impact Day that we had. We, for the first time at the national level is very active. And so they give us directive and we do what we can. And of course, we have one of the smaller chapters, but we're small but mighty.
Yes.
And so the impact is being able to provide resources and provide awareness to, for instance, that there are Black real estate professionals, because NARAB is not just realtors, but it's title, it's inspectors, it's roofers, it's anyone in the profession that happens to be a minority. And we're open to, we're a diverse group as well. But creating awareness for our homeowners or those who want to, for our buyers and sellers who may want to work with professionals that look like them, one, because they understand their challenges. They may trust us more to someone that looks like themselves. And so they're going to continue to that path of becoming a homeowner. So that's kind of NARAB or ABREP, Austin Black Real Estate Professionals. My involvement with ABOR has been very impactful because one, I'm growing leadership skills. I am understanding how governance works. So I'm getting exposure and access to our leaders, the mayor, the city council, the power players in the area, the Texas Realtors Group. I'm learning about how we work with them and how we support each other. I'm learning about our challenges that we both have as an association, as a local, Texas Realtors statewide.
Mhm.
I'm learning about just how strategic decisions are made.
Yeah.
Just think we've gone through the NAR lawsuit. We've gone through CCP. We had to figure out how to work through COVID. So I'm just learning so much about, I'm having a greater appreciation for what the board, the association, and the Realtor Association does to make sure that we can conduct business the way we do. It's our livelihood, and that, the advocacy is a big piece for property rights and home ownership. That's a big piece that I never really thought about or really engaged in, but now, I really understand, how we can impact some of those decisions that are going to be made when it comes down to the laws that are going to be made. And, you know, we're in front of Realtor Day. I've never participated in a Realtor Day until I've been here. So if that's something you all are interested in, come down and join us and be able to have FaceTime with our Congress people, our senators, our mayor, have lunch and brunch and breakfast with the council people and have one-on-one conversations. So just the exposure, the access, the understanding of what goes behind the scenes.
Yes.
And you can't help but be a better professional because of all the information that you and the knowledge that you're gaining to be able to impart that upon your clients.
Amen. Well, again, I we thank you for your service because there's so much behind the scenes that we're just not aware of. Like
Yes.
just fighting on, on taxing our commissions or property rights and all these different things that really impact us. We never see, but I know
Hmm.
you guys are fighting hard to make sure
Hmm.
that things are working
Hmm.
to our benefit. Let's just
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah.
And I would say also that I think it's so important that our friends and family members on the call who don't necessarily look like us, that they also understand that there's no discrimination here at all. This is all about unity. And I
Hmm.
believe that I'm stepping in the political side for a second, but if our leaders will understand that again, we're so much stronger together than we are apart, then we would start to see them act that way, and we have not seen that. And I
Hmm.
think that you guys in your Austin board, what we're trying to do here in Dallas, I think this community, this is all about unity. This isn't about black and white. That's just BS. I get so sick and tired. But I'm like, man, this is about us all coming together, working hard, supporting each other, loving on each other, because I've got some dear friends who look like you and I and who do not look like you and I, but they're still my brothers, my sisters. I love them, right? So this, again, I'm off of that now. I'm done with it, but I
Yeah.
just think it's important that I state that because I think my peers know who I am and what I'm about, right?
Hmm.
So I'm
Hmm.
about community. And I don't care if, if your hue isn't as beautiful as mine. That's okay. That's okay.
Well, let me just say it's about representation, of course. I mean, NAREP was founded because we could not be a part of NAR.
That's
We
right.
could not be a part of National Association of Realtors, so that's why it was even created. And they are famous for creating the State of Housing in Black America report, to be able to speak to, how just the challenges that we have faced, and including redlining, all the way back to redlining. But back to ABOR, it's about representation too. That was the other reason why I wanted to run for the board, because in 17 years they have not had. I will be the second Black chairperson of the board. It was 17 years ago when they had one. And I think there's only been three or four over the years, African American, that has been on the board, period. And right now I am the only one there. So I know that I bring a perspective. I know I bring experience, and, can speak on behalf to some extent of a certain population or a certain demographic that otherwise may not be in that room when they're making decisions,
Amen.
when they're thinking about how to move forward on certain things. So,
Again, keep doing it. Keep doing it. Um, Tell me this. So now let's talk just for a minute about real estate. What are you doing in the Austin area? And again, speak on a broad basis, regardless of whether you're newer in the business, older in the business. Give me something that you're either doing or something that you've learned, especially over the last 6 years in Austin, that's helping you. in your community, and maybe even a mistake that you've made, because it's again, I love that we have a room full of newbies on this call, and I always try to make sure I'm speaking to them also so that they can learn and grow and stay encouraged.
hmm I think what has been great about what I've been doing and learning is just, the partnership with the community. There are so many nonprofits, and I'm entering and learning more about the affordable housing space. And so, as a result of that and development, and as a result of that, I'm learning about all the opportunities that are out there to help with, increasing more affordable housing and helping with the education and providing, the grants and the funding for sources for those who may not be able to come up with the down payment assistance. But then there's a ton of down payment assistance programs that I wasn't aware of either. So I'm learning about all of the tools and all of the resources and sources that are out there that will help not just African Americans, they'll help everybody. They will help everybody. And there's a partnership there. And so I'm learning, we're all supporting each other. And so I love that. And I did not know that when I moved here, but there's just, we're all here together. We're all wanting to support. We all want the best for our area. And we're impacting it in some wonderful ways. As far as a mistake, um, I don't know. I don't know. I'm definitely not perfect. There's definitely some things that, that because, well, let me just say, because it's kind of slow right now, we know the market is, sluggish. I am doing a lot of self-reflection about what can I do differently.
Mhm,
Now that I have some time to
mhm,
kind of think through things, what can I do better in my business? Am I going back to basics? Because, a lot of times we get so busy, we get so involved, you kind of forget about those things that got us started, and, we don't have to recreate the wheel. So I'm really taking some self-reflection about my business. Do I have my systems in place? Do I need to revise, update, include, am I leveraging? Am I, taking a look at my P&L? All those things around business, I
mhm.
think. So the mistake would be, you know, maybe I'm finding some opportunities to better my business.
Sure. Yeah, I think again, don't miss that. I think there's, we're doing the same thing. We're looking, there's some gaps in my business I feel like that could be filled. And going back to basics, again, I love this platform because I get to hear from others, because every now and I'm going to hear a nugget or two that we can now add and or implement and or reach out to community. I just saw a loan officer walking in, and I hit him with a scenario. I think using this time to strengthen those relationships and maybe find some programs that might be able to serve a certain niche.
Mhm.
Maybe not everybody, but that one program right there can serve that family. Those are
Mhm.
things I think we should be investing our time and
Yeah.
energy in, right? So again, I appreciate you sharing that. So because our time grows so short, I mean, it's just like that, right?
Um,
It happens so quickly. I know you're a Delta. So, how strong is your chapter there? I say in the Austin area, and what are you guys doing? Because you guys are all about service.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for mentioning that. Yes, I'm a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And they have, one of our points is, economic development. And so the members of Delta have joined with ABREP, with NARAB.
Okay.
In fact, D9, the Divine Nine, has um, joined with NARAB to put on a community impact day, which happens simultaneously around the whole country,
Yes.
where basically an opportunity to have FaceTime, one-on-one time with realtors, with estate planners, with lenders. We have workshops. We have guest speakers. And so that's just another way that I can incorporate my personal life and my personal values with real estate. They are a lot of our city government are members of Divine Nine, and so we're coming together with the city of Austin to again partnership with community, whether it's with Urban League or NAACP or Black Professional Alliance and just a number of organizations. We're all coming together to benefit and to increase awareness and educate our community about home ownership and build generational wealth.